our rhythm. Hello, invisible friends. I am Logo, and I want to share with you the logical steps we can take if we have a major disease and how to face it while continuing to attend to the treatments and recommendations of your doctors. We, like everything else, are part of a cycle or a rhythm. There is a period of greater fullness and there is a period of rest, just as there is day and night. The controversy is when we violate these cycles by choice or will. It doesn't take much to get up early. Human beings pretend that there is no price to pay if we violate the cycles, and like everything, there are limits and consequences. We start violating our sleep cycle systematically, whether it's for school, work, or play. What happens in the dream? Sleep is the process where the cellular repair mechanism is activated, reducing the metabolic rate that only happens when sleeping and when we have a fever. In the case of fever, the repair is forced. It is due to the metabolic acceleration. And its heat is due to the active burning of the mitochondria inside the cells to be able to cleanse us intracellularly. In a nutshell, we have an energetic charging and discharging cycle, and it will depend on the type of activity, time, and effort involved. In the same way, in its counterpart, there is a rest period that must be proportional until they are recovered to continue with activities. This applies physically as well as biochemically. In the case of marathon runners, due to their long exposure to exercise, they lose many minerals. Many of them are vital for muscle performance and can become a risk to their health. Sodium is vital to be able to move the muscles. The heart, which is a muscle lacking the mineral, can stop and cause sudden death. What we mean by this is that if activity cycles last longer than rest cycles manage to recover, we expose ourselves to a significant risk of loss of health, opening the way to problems of all kinds. Our body is adaptive, and we can prepare ourselves to face high-performance situations like many athletes in their activities. But this takes training and preparation, conditioning our abilities and reserves to face those circumstances. Similarly, breaks and nutrition are designed to regain potential more effectively. Our hormonal and enzymatic systems work the same. That is, there is a time of work and there is a time of rest or recovery. If we don't comply with this rule, the organism begins to collapse biochemically. This happens a lot when we repeatedly consume sweets, cookies, and treats in excess, or meals such as feasts where the amounts exceed the capabilities of processing properly. Some may end up with indigestion and others with the beginnings of diabetes. If we eat a piece of candy every hour, we'll need an insulin rush to lower our blood sugar levels in the same amount of time. Hormones are not produced infinitely without cost, and on the other hand, cells build resistance to the hormone when they are already saturated. And in turn, more of the hormone is required to be able to handle the same amount of sugar level. This results in a domino effect of the liver's ability to transform sugar into fat to be stored in adipose tissue. The consequence would be to have fatty liver, and the next step of domino would be to contract type 2 diabetes. Then, due to time and the loss of oxygen supply capacity to the extremities, could cause necrosis in the tissues, and consequently the terrible amputations. Exceeding the biochemical capacities of the organism versus the capacities of rest or recovery is a controversial but very real issue. No one wants to see themselves in that mirror. The first thing we must do is become aware so as not to fall into a vicious circle. And if third parties lead us astray for our health, it is best to distance ourselves just as we distance ourselves from an alcoholic. This society does not put limits on us. In fact, excesses are boasted as if it were the best option. We might think that sweets are not bad because they are sweet, in which case our irresponsibility and ignorance would not lead to perdition. A sensible solution would be to think that desserts are a prize, that is, a reward that we can give ourselves in a sensible way, spacing out the periods of intake and the amount we take. Drink sugary drinks only a little on the weekends instead of every day. Let's not fool ourselves. Everyone will see where they may be making a mistake in order to reduce it to a reasonable minimum. It's very common to think that doesn't apply to me. Others are the ones who get sick. I'm special. Degenerative rhythms and processes are usually not frightening because the risk is measured in the long term, making it almost impossible to perceive the consequences. Many people fear heights even though they are not in any real danger. Imagine seeing the cityscape from the heights of a skyscraper. The vertigo present in the mind does not mean an imminent risk in these cases. If you ask psychologists or psychiatrists if that person was really in danger, they will tell you that the person's sense of danger is real, but it will only be a perception. Now, looking at the opposite, how many people die from diabetes each year? And how many due to vertigo? Resting goes beyond closing your eyes. Opening our eyes and knowing our faults, and becoming aware of our perception of long-term dangers, are difficult to observe due to our mental biological nature to change bad habits that impact our health. But we can do it if we look at ourselves sincerely, folks. I'm telling you about my experiences, so ask your doctor or trusted health specialist. It is your decision to take the steps to move forward. If you like the video and want to help spread the word, remember to click on the bell and subscribe to receive more information like this. Remember that step by step we can improve. The worst thing is to do nothing. Invisible friends, we see ourselves in the mirror